Good evening, everybody. It's your pal Martin Millett here. Hope you're going well. I just came back from Eswatini today. I just spent 3 days in a little tiny kingdom sandwiched between South Africa and Mozambique, and you would not believe it, I was there for the Reed Festival. I just didn't know that was happening. I just thought Reed Festival happens once a year, but I was just at the right place at the right time. So how do you get to Eswatini? Well, you could fly there from Johannesburg. I don't know how much the return ticket would cost, but I'm guessing, well, because you're flying, it would probably cost you at least over $100 or $200 to fly there. Now, how I got there was I got a minivan from Durban Station, at the taxi rank, for 320 Rand. And that took me a day's worth of a trip, so I was inside the minivan around 7 o'clock, and we didn't leave until at least 9-ish, 10-ish. Just as it goes in Africa, you wait for it to fill up. Now, the drive to the South Africa-Eswatini border was at least 2 or 3 hours long, and I entered Eswatini at the tiny corner, the tiny, say southeast, the southeast border of South Africa and Eswatini. So you stamp out of South Africa, and to get into Eswatini, I had to show a COVID pass, which is quite surprising because I haven't showed a COVID pass in South Africa or Lesotho. So just make sure you have that with hand, or if you're not vaccinated, a PCR test, something like that. So the bus ended up in Manzani, and I paid about 150 Rand to get a taxi into Labamba. I stayed at a really nice lodge, Lilwala Lodge in the royal capital of Labamba, which I was spending, I think I was under $250 a night for a shared room. But then the next night there was a group coming in, and I decided to stay an extra day, so I paid 35 quid, around roughly 600 Rand for a private room in Labamba. Now, to get around, from Mabambe, Labamba, Azini, now you get these minivans, on the side of the road. They only, cost about, 20 Rand for, a ride. And I must say, in Eswatini, the currency is, different to the Rand, but literally South African Rand can be used. It's just some places don't accept the coins. And also, Eswatini currency can't really be used in South Africa, so you just bear that in mind when you're leaving. Make sure you swap your notes back into Rand unless you want to keep some for a souvenir. Now, the Reed Festival happens in Eswatini. It happens August, September. I was there on the final day, and I got there quite early to get a good spot. I sat in the stands for a couple of hours. The police lady gave me a bottle of water, and then they fed me. They fed me some snacks. They fed me some KFC, which I don't always eat KFC. I haven't had KFC in years. Some fruit and some water bottle and some soft drink. So it was a good parade of they called it the Reed Festival, and it's a lot of the women presenting Reed to the Queen Mother, and we all had to stand as the Queen Mother arrived. And I did catch a glimpse of the King of Eswatini. And so I felt quite glad that I got to Eswatini. It was my 92nd nation. To get out of Eswatini, I took a minivan up to Mabambe, and then I waited at the taxi rank for the bus to fill up to go to Johannesburg. There is a really overpriced shuttle you could take for 1,000 Rand. It will give you drinks, snacks, and let you watch a movie, but it's not really in my budget. So for about 300 Rand, you can go from Mabambe all the way to Johannesburg, leaving Mabambe at 10 and then getting to Joburg around 4 o'clock. To get back into South Africa, just nothing special, just get your stamp out of Eswatini, but I had to make sure that I got this border pass form, which is basically how many vehicles or how many people, and I had to, which is a bit crazy though. So they had to get that stamp along with immigration, then walk across the border into South Africa, get stamped back in. There are some custom checks. They didn't check my bag, so they do tend to like scrutinize passports because I was in a shared van, and literally when you're taking these like van rides from like South Africa to Eswatini, you gotta hand over your passport for about like half an hour, like as a write down information to give it on the border crossing. So in hindsight, like your passport's in good hands, but it's kind of like it gets a bit iffy. It's like, okay, when you get on a bus, they demand you give them your passport. Rather wait until you get to the border, then you give them your passport to get like stamped. Yeah, I would say accommodation would cost a bit more in Eswatini. There are various backpackers located all over the country, but I must say, like Eswatini is really like rural. And I believe I don't think anybody should be trying to like walk between locations. Like I went walking like one morning trying to find an ATM, and I thought, stuff it, I'm too tired. I'm just gonna hop in a van and I can like drop me off at this shopping mall which is next to the American Embassy. So yeah. And anyway, Eswatini is visa free for most West nations. You just get about 30 days there. It's quite nice. Unfortunately, they don't mark on the passport stamp how many days you can stay, but it's literally just the standard 30 days, I guess. Anyway, it's Martin Miller, over and out.